Welcome to the Sports Showcase event on Harford TV. I am Ray Hers, and I am here with my broadcast partner, Bob Frisch. We are at North Harford High School for an early season men's soccer match between the host North Harford Hawks and the visiting Harford Tech Cobras. Before I go into more details of the matchups and so forth, I want to tell you that North Harford is coached by Eric Lane, and he's assisted by Rick Laurie, Bill Wardle, and Carly Kurgan. And North Harford is coached by Mike. Let me get this down here. Mike, I'm mixing up names here, Bob. I have friends that are coached 3 different teams. Mike Dempsey. And Mike Dempsey is assisted by Lou Hill. But before I talk more about those coaches and what I know about them, real quick before we get to the anthem here, Bob, welcome, and what are your thoughts about this game?
Well, thanks, Ray. I appreciate the invite to be here. I always enjoy doing these games. Last year, these 2 teams played pretty neck-and-neck games, 1-goal games. All 3 were won by North Harford, but one went all the way to overtime. So I'm expecting that we're going to see a similar match, evenly matched teams, and I'm expecting a really good game.
So last year, to that point, North Harford won all 3 matches, but they were 1-goal games, including an overtime game. So these 2 teams are right there with each other, and they're right there with the top teams in the county. I mean, they even if they lose to a Bel Air or Sea Mountain Wright or Falston, it's really close. It's usually 1-goal, 2-goal games, and occasionally they win also. So I would say that these are 2 of the top 5 teams in the county.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see too many walk-away games in the county. A lot of teams are pretty evenly matched, and so I expect that we'll see that continue in this match as well.
Yes. So according to my records here, we're going to have the national anthem sung here in a second, and I'll try to get the names of the young ladies if I can get it.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red, was bursting in, it proved through the night that our flag was still there. Say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
That was beautiful, Bob. It's one talent I don't have, singing. So it's a good thing I was an athlete.
That's right. I can't carry a tune in a bucket. So, yeah, they did a wonderful job.
Well, I'll tell you what I enjoy about a game like this, Bob. So it's always wonderful to see you. Bob served on the Harford County Board of Ed for how many years, Bob?
9 years total.
That was awesome, and I won't discuss the things he helped me with, but he was very helpful in supporting kids' programs, and I appreciate that for him and anybody else that serves in that capacity. What I like about a game like this, Bob, is this brings back good memories. I coached the girls' varsity soccer team here with my good dear past friend Tom Berg, and I know all of these coaches. So I got a little bit mixed up and had a little brain cramp there on Mike Dempsey because he coached in my program years ago when our boys were little, and we had 3 Mikes coaching 3 teams in the same age group. So I was about to accidentally say one of the other Mike's names, but that just shows you what it's like in this community. Coach youth soccer. He doesn't even have a child in the program. He did at one point, but he's still coaching. And so is his assistant coach. Coach youth. Bill Wardle is assistant coach for the other team, and here with Eric Lane, and his son is playing on the team. Ben is on the team, but Eric was the one that started Northern Elite. He put in like the last 20 years volunteering in youth soccer in this community.
Well, that's sort of actually the same way I got involved. I coached a very small, young rec team, and I didn't have kids at the time, but I love soccer. I got involved in high school, and I've been involved ever since.
Yeah, it's hard to get away from. So we have the kickoff here, and coming into this game, we have basically one team is 2-2, and that's North Harford, and we have 2-0-1 for Harford Tech. So North Harford just lost a tough 2-0 game to Seamount, right? But as you and I both know, 2-0 could be very close.
That's right. Sometimes the score is not indicative of how challenging and competitive the match was.
Especially if you're down 1-0, you have to push people up, and then the other team generally gets another goal in what we call garbage time at the end of the game. But a little foul there. So I'm going to tell you the different kind of the lineups here, Bob. And this is interesting. Back when I was a player, and yes, I'm going on 60, folks. They did not do the formations they do now. So right now, they're both very creative. So North Harford is playing one player up top, Matt Dealey. They're playing 4 straight across at a midfield. Nice shot.
Yeah, Croft, the goalkeeper's best friend, the crossbar.
Yes. So they're playing a 1 up top, 4 across the midfield, 2 what they call holding midfielders, like in front of the 3-man defense. So a 1-4-2-3. How often have you seen that?
It's like I say, that comes from
It's more of
quality,
a college lineup.
quality coaching. We see at the high school level now that these coaches are going to a lot of training. They're very experienced. Many of them are working with club ball and have played college themselves, so they have got a very strong background. And like you said, when I started playing in high school, we played like a 5 up top,
Yeah.
a 3 midfield,
And
and
2 in the back.
2 in the back. You know,
Right.
that you would get destroyed playing a game like that.
Well, you
like
put
that
the 2
today.
big-footed players in the back.
Yep.
And now it's all about speed. What a nice shot there. And great save. Like, people that don't know what it's like to play goalie, which is one position I would have never wanted to do, that ball was right at him, but that had some pace on that ball.
Yes, that ball traveled very quickly. It was almost like a line drive in a baseball game, and that was a good 25 yards out.
And, the thing is, if the goalie doesn't catch that ball clean, it's a rebound and somebody's putting it back in. So we got past there. We have a cross. Good job by our keeper again coming out. So the keeper there is Michael Lowry. Made 2 good saves already. Well, and back to the lineups here, Bob. Now, coaches are putting their fastest players in the back often, and they just sweep everything up. We didn't have a position back then called a sweeper. Now you have flat back 3s, you have sweepers in a diamond, you have all kind of lineups like that. But just seeing the 2 position players between the 3 defenders and the 4 midfielders, they play off of those players. The defense has to transition out off of those players, and the midfield has to connect to them too.
Well, the idea with those speed people in the back is that they can push forward. Years ago,
Yes.
you never saw defenders moving up and scoring goals, or certainly moving into the midfield where they could feed that ball right in front of the box.
Yeah, they'll pass it to a midfielder, overlap, get it back, pass it to a striker, get it back again. Nice movement down the left sideline there for Harford Tech. Both coaches, in talking to them before the game, Bob, said they expect a lot of their teams this year. They returned some experienced players. And unfortunately for North Harford, they do have a very good player who is injured and out. And I will try to find that name, but he is a manager now. And it's kind of a shame because, no, that's Harford Tech, I meant to say. It's a shame because he tore his knee, and he was like the 2nd leading scorer in the county last year, so I will find that name.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but injuries are a part of the game anymore. And as they always say in other sports as well, next man up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you have ever played high school sports long enough, injuries are going to happen, and that's where depth comes in on these teams. Good hustle there on the defense. And they've worked a corner kick. Oh, no, he was already out, wasn't he?
He was already out.
Yeah, I'm going to say here that the captains for Harford Tech are Chase Pamela, Ben Kierdowski, and Aiden Warren. Aiden's third-year starter and first-team All-County last year, and he wants to play soccer for quite a list here, Bob. Navy, West Point, University of Maryland, Salisbury, Delaware, and Mount St. Mary's. A lot of good selections there.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, you have a variety of schools there. First of all, if you can get into Naval Academy or West Point, that's an impressive thing in its own account, not counting soccer. My son graduated from Salisbury, and I have 2 players playing there now that I coach. That's a good run down the left side here by number 10. And boy, he put that ball right. Oh.
Nice shot. Again, the goalkeeper's best friend, the post.
Yeah. Well, that's not a bad play. He had to hit it past the goalie. That was a nice strike by number 19, Matthew Diley. And it looked like the cross came from number 10. And they call him, they had a name here for him that they were making it Hugo, something like that they call him. His name is Taboda Santiago, but they made it simpler by just saying Hugo. I think that's when you're really good, Bob. You get a one-word name like Pele or Messi, and that's all everybody refers you to.
Yeah.
When I was just called Hers, it was usually because I was in trouble, not because I was doing something great. That's a long send there, and the goalie obviously lets that go over and out of bounds.
It was the right idea, though. You had a breakaway coming down on the right-hand side, and that's the idea. If you can, good players lift their head up and look across the field. They see what's in front of them, and you could see that player. And it was actually a very good cross. It crossed the entire field and was almost right on the money.
So I'm going to get this down for us, Bob. It's Taboda is what they call him.
Taboda.
Hugo Taboda. And he is an exchange student from, I'm going to get this correct, A Coruña, Spain. Haven't heard of A Coruña, but I'm sure it's beautiful. That's an interesting thing, Bob, to be a foreign exchange student and go away from your family for 10 months. And that's a good place to have a foreign exchange student from right now for Spain. Their men's soccer is one of the best in the world right now.
Women, too. They just won the World Cup.
Yes, they did. So I've already seen a couple players on each team that can throw the ball in pretty far. On that throw-in that we had earlier on the right, on our sideline over here down deep for Harford Tech, the player, we'll have to get his number later, he threw the ball on the far side of the box from the sideline. That's a real weapon.
Yes, it's almost as good as a corner kick.
Yes. I used to have a couple players that could do that thing, the flip throw. Have you ever seen anybody do that?
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy talent. Gymnastics combined with other strength.
I don't think I'd be able to walk again if I tried that.
I used to be somewhat good at gymnastics when I was younger. When I was coaching the North Harford girls here, they were like, they see me do some things and they were like, hey, Coach, hers, do a flip throw. I'm like, no, I'm getting too old for that stuff now. So there's a good ball there, and it went over 2 players, and the other North Harford player ran into it. Good cross. That was a good gather. He just got jammed there a little bit on that left-footed shot there. The defender got a little bit on the ball, block it. Good shot of our Harford Tech goalie there, and that would be Brendan Stribe. Like a lot of goalies, Bob, he's got the 00. Goalies like to have unique numbers sometimes.
Well, hopefully that's they're looking for the clean sheet.
Yeah, goalies don't mind. It's the only position that doesn't mind if they don't have to touch the ball much, right?
That's right. You're better off. Keep it up the other end. I actually played goalie for a little while out of necessity. So wasn't my idea of a fun time. I'd rather been out on the playing field.
Yeah, it takes a different person to be able to play goalie. I could play every position on the field but goalie, and I didn't understand it because my hand-eye coordination in other sports was fine, but if somebody kicked a soccer ball at me, I was more interested in lifting my leg up to stop it than I was to use my hands. They put themselves in definite peril there sometimes, diving at people's feet for the ball. It's a nice win back. Got another good little battle happening here. He's trying to get a little bit of space to get a little cross over there. Got to watch those kind of balls that come off of bounce feet there, Bob. Sometimes they can have a little bit of spin on them. Punt the ball up to almost midfield. Did you have the leg, Bob, when you played goalie for long punts?
Not too well.
No, I didn't either. I see some of these goalies in the even college level punting the ball 3/4 field. It's amazing. I was the guy that had to trap that ball. When you weren't in goal, what'd you play?
I started out playing up on the line on the left wing, and then I wound up finishing up playing in the defense.
So what you'll notice here, folks, is the player didn't have anywhere to go, so he pulled the ball back and tried to rework it. That ball was barely saved. So we do a couple things here in sophisticated soccer where you're trying to, that ball shouldn't have got all the way through, Bob, but it did. Two defenders, I think, thought the other one was going to get it. But we do what we call switching fields. Sometimes you go inside, outside, and then you reverse fields. So you'll see the ball bumped from the middle to the outside on one sideline for a while. But what I always like to see is a central midi spin, take it to the open side. Because if the ball is on the left side for 2 minutes, then probably 15 of the 20 field players are probably on that side of the field. If you switch fields with it, you could get a really good possession on the other sideline.
Yeah, it's like anything else in any other sport. If you get the opponent's player going sideways instead of back and forth, they have a tendency to create gap, and your chances are better of controlling the ball and getting the shot off.
So let's see what kind of transition North Hartford can get out of this. So when I'm talking about transition, folks, I'm talking about going from defense to offense quickly or offense to defense quickly. The offense has the advantage, but the defense has to react. We do a thing in soccer also, Bob, where we switch players. So if I'm beat on a 2-on-1, well, then you've got to pick up my man because they have the ball. And then I might have to switch to your man. And then you find the right time to switch back.
Well, that's covering for your partner.
And that's where the communication comes in handy. You'll have a few quarterbacks, I would say, on the field. Usually it's your central defender, your goalie. They're communicating with the back half of the field and giving points. You got him, get him, I got this. And then when we clear the ball in soccer, that was a nice little touch pass there. Let's see if the North Hartford player can possess. Nope. You're going to look at the bump in and out, yes. That was a little bit bottled up there, but we have a foul around the 20-yard line. So technically speaking, that's more like the 30-yard line of the soccer field. Even more like the 38. This is an interesting area, Bob. Might not be shooting range, but it could be if you have the right kind of strike. But you'll also see people sometimes trying to loft the ball in there for a head ball or something. I'm surprised the defense is backing up that far. They might jump out.
Yeah, let's see if they can try an offside trap.
Yes. Oh, that ball changed directions quick. So there was a deflection there. So you see the Harford Tech player picking that ball up quick. Sometimes they know it's their throw, Bob, and sometimes they're just trying to steal the throw.
That's true. You got to be on your toes when you're an official.
Well, Bob is an official, folks, and he just came from another game. So I give him all the credit in the world. And I have our refs as Derek Snyder and Mark Hamilton. And I've tried my hand at reffing indoor and outdoor, and I did an adequately decent job. But you got to have thick skin to be a referee in any sport.
You have to have thick skin, and you've got to be able to manage 22 different personalities on the field at the same time, not counting who the coaches and the bench players are.
Right.
So there's a lot of psychology in it. And so how it's about managing the game, not simply, you can take the test and you can pass the rules and you understand all those things, but it's about managing the players and managing the game, and depending on how the players are playing the game and what style they want to play.
To your point, Bob, that call right there was interesting, because some people that are novice fans would say, well, what's up with that? That was kind of a little bit of a hooking obstruction combined on the North Hartford player. They weren't going to able to possess it, so they kind of just pushed them off. Now, that's a tough ball. Great job by the keeper to get up high for that. So, folks, if you don't understand what we mean by obstruction, I can't just deliberately run in your way to deter you from getting to the ball. And then there's a difference between shielding somebody off the ball properly and doing it illegally, and that play was done illegally.
Yeah, you can, and it's a very good defensive strategy to shield the ball.
Right.
Is that as long as you're within playing distance of the ball, you can use your body to impede the other player from trying to get the ball, and you'll see that a lot of times when balls are going out of bounds. To try to keep the other player from getting the ball, especially if you know it's going to be your team's throwing, or a goal kick or corner kick.
Right there, you saw the North Hartford kicker did have a big foot there on that punt, Bob. He put that ball a good 60 yards down the field. And when we talk about shielding, if you've ever played any forward, you have to find a way to shield that punt off from the defender. You don't want them to cleanly chest it or head it or volley it the other way, so you kind of get in their way enough to shield off and then see if you can get a trap to one of your teammates. Now, this is a good chance for Harvard Tech to transition, but player dribbled unfortunately into the North Hartford player. It's a nice solid head ball clear on the right side there. That looked like number 1, Sean Babiak. Who was your coach at Edgewood High School, Bob?
Paul Metzger.
Oh, that's right. We discussed that. Paul's a friend of mine and my father. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, I never played any organized soccer until I got to high school, and I went out for the JV football team, and I got cut. And one of my classmates said, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm really not doing anything." He says, "Well, we need some people on the soccer team." So I came out and played soccer, and like I say, I've been involved in the game ever since. 54 years I've been involved in this game, and I've played it, I've coached it, and I've officiated it. And I can tell you, since my playing days were over, the best seat in the house is on the field as an official. You're there where the action is. It's it can be a tough assignment, but it's a great experience.
Now, see, I would have maybe one-timed that ball on that last settle. There's Harvard Tech's doing a good job of packing it in. So every time North Hartford gets the ball inside the 25, there's 2 or 3 players on them. They're going to have to start looking for some one-time strikes occasionally. And one thing that people don't know about this is, when possible, like, people like the glory shot, the upper 90 corner, as they call it, the upper corner of the net. But especially on turf, if you can hit a hard, low ball, it'll skid right off of this turf if you have some pace on the ball.
Yeah, that's the difference between artificial turf and the grass fields that we predominantly used to play on. I mean, now Harford County, we have all artificial turfs in all the schools. Matter of fact, North Harford was the very first school to get a tough field, and they've just had this field replaced a few years ago. And but the field that I reffed on just today, and before I got here, was a grass field. And you get unusual bounces, the ball skips. At least I like playing on these artificial turfs because you get true bounces and you get true rolls. And I think the kids can showcase their skills, their trapping and passing skills, better than you can on an uneven grass field.
Definitely. Now, I like a little combination. That's a tough ball. That could be flicked through. And that was very smart by the Harvard Tech player. They knew the goalie was out, and they tried to do a heel ball. It just got blocked. Nice strip by the defender. Oop, turned, unfortunately, went right off the face of the other player. So the goalie came out there, Bob, in a kind of a scrum and couldn't quite get to the ball. So the ball was in the scrum without the goalie being able to get it. So that's why the player, that's a long strike, but just right. Off the top crossbar.
That's a field goal, was no good.
Well, I'm going to tell you something interesting about that, Bob, because I had a bad luck experience here. Coaching North Harford varsity girls in the state semifinals or the regional finals with my friend Tom Berg. And the ball is out if it hits any of the yellow standard. Unfortunately, in the pace of the moment, the referee could not see that the ball hit the bottom crossbar of the goalpost. That's the good quick shot I was talking about. And everybody froze except for one player from Bel Air. And she played the ball and put it in, and that was the winning goal in overtime. So I've always told my players, you play to the
whistle.
Yes. So here's a through ball, and they're trying to shield off legally so the goalie can pick that ball up. Now, you cannot make a deliberate pass. I'll let you describe it, Bob, when the goalie can and can't pick up the ball.
You can't deliberately pass back with your foot. So, you might be under pressure as a defender, and you got to release the ball. You got to get it away. You got the offensive players down on top of you or getting in a position you can get an advantage. So you can pass it back, but if you use your foot, goalie can't keep it up. So that's why you see they'll try to head the ball, they'll chest the ball, and then that's what they call you'll hear the player saying hands or no hands, and that gives them their goalie make sure they understand whether or not they're allowed to use their hands in a particular case.
So what you will find is that literally the game is much more sophisticated than it used to be. I remember when I was a young player and I was playing for my uncle Mike and another coach named Mike who was a military man from our community in Edgewood, Arsenal. And they were a little bit smarter than some of the other coaches. So they literally would tell us, you could drop the ball backwards. Well, nowadays, we have a player down here, folks, so we're waiting for this. Literally, people used to think you just go forward. So then people started doing what we call drop passes, or you say you got support or whatever. Different terminology came along. Well, you started dropping the ball from forwards to midfielders and then back up. Midfielders to defenders and back up. Well, then we added the goalies. You didn't used to see people drop the ball to the goalie 30, 40 years ago. Now they'll rework the ball from defender, left defender running back under pressure. They'll drop it to the goalie. He'll touch it to the right side. He'll pass it to the right defender. They'll even play keep away using the goalie sometime until they have a chance to get the ball out from the defensive end.
Yeah, I think what you'll see is as you said, years ago, the defenders were big. They had a big foot. They kicked the ball out. That was the idea. Now you have to be a skilled player anywhere on the field. You have to have foot skills, both left and right foot, and that includes the keepers. Because the game has evolved, and it didn't used to be that way here. But we've come a long way in sophistication and the skill sets of the players.
That's a good ball dumped in there. So the offensive player from North Harford just tried to play it in with their head. One thing I see here is North Harford pushes up quicker on defense. So when they get a clear or transition, their defenders are running the team out more. Harford Tech seems a little bit more guarded. They're waiting for complete control before they move out some. And for what the fans might not understand is that's a risky situation, because if all three defenders or four defenders start pushing out at the same time, but one of them didn't push out quick enough, a return ball is now a breakaway.
Right.
You've got to be careful.
And so sometimes that's a strategy of the coaches, especially if you know that one team has real good speed up top. And so that's what they're concerned about, is that they could get that breakaway, jump over the top and get a player in a position to run on the ball, get one-on-one with the keeper. So sometimes you'll see them play an extra defender back, or they'll pack the defense back a little bit. I like the idea that defenses be aggressive, and you'll see now defenders are moving up beyond midfield. It used to be you all stayed at midfield, and you let these huge gaps, set in between in the field. But now you see them start to spread out a little bit.
So now we have a corner kick here, You have a couple different strategies here. Let's see if this is a right-footed. Now, the ball can or cannot go out of bounds in the air on a corner kick and curve back in.
It cannot.
I didn't think so, yeah. That ball was dangerous, and that was a great job on the left side there for the defender. And the ball just kind of died there on the sideline. He's going to try to put it up the left sideline. It was a nice pass. A little bit of a hesitation move. He's trying to cut back. See who this is ball. I think it's going to be...
Just throw in.
Yeah, I actually, when I first saw it, I thought it might have been the other way, but they all knew it right away, and they're backing up. So let's see if this is the same person that threw the ball in from this other side with such distance and power. Based on where the players are, I'm guessing it's a pretty good thrower.
That's at the spot.
Yeah.
That's a long throw.
So what you do here sometime, Bob, is that's a hard strike, but that's our first field goal. Sometimes I tell my offensive players, you're not going to get a clean head ball on that. Do what we call a flick on. Try to backhead it. Try to side head it to the other side of the pile. And if one of your other teammates can break loose on that side, they might be able to get a strike out of it. That's a good long kick there. Fought over. Good job by Harford Tech. Number 7 there. Really, that's Ben Godrowski, and really fought that ball. So we have a chance here for some possession. That's an unfortunate bounce. Goalie's got to come get that.
Now, there was a case where the player kicked the ball with his foot and the keeper used his hands.
Yes.
The exception to that rule of a deliberate pass back with the foot is if it's inadvertent,
right,
and there was no deliberate attempt to pass it to the keeper, and that was just a missed kick that the keeper was able to get to.
Oh, that was a miss by the defender. You have a clear strike here.
They're wide open.
That was a nice play. So
Number 7.
Let's get our goals. Let's see who passed that. Was that 2 coming in from the left side there?
Let's see there.
So we have number 7 on the goal coming in from the side. That's Ben Krajowski. And that was a really nice setup. And he kind of insided that out with, if I'm not mistaken, he still used his right foot, but he kind of like turned his hips and got that onto the goal. So we had a 0-0 game until that point.
Here
at
comes
15:04. I think it was number 3. Yeah, that was a tough place to be for the goalie there. He had to read if the first person was shooting it, and then he had to go from there. So I have the assist for, on my sheet here, would be number 13. It was probably number 13. I saw the 3 in there, but guessing it was number 13. Now we do have coaches' sons on teams, or I know I mentioned that North Hartford has a young man named Ben Wardle, and his dad is one of the coaches. That's a nice through ball there. Surprised he got beyond the defense. Wow, that ball was off line there more than I thought from our angle, but it was still a nice left-footed strike.
All that, and you had the player who was coming down the right side again.
Mm-hmm.
And what I noticed on the last that shot and on the goal is that right forward out there was not marked tight, and that's why he was able to have what was considered, I thought, was a pretty easy goal, put it in net, and then the players still tried to catch the same player coming onto the goal from the right.
So now what you have here, Bob.
Ooh, that was nice.
Yeah.
Nice footwork.
What you have here is you have a moment where North Hartford has to respond.
Yeah, that was a perfect example of shielding.
Mm-hmm.
The Tech player got between the offensive player and the goal, and the ball, and managed to let the ball go out so he can maintain possession.
So I think the official scoreboard is the official time. Sometimes the referees will say they have the official time, and other times they'll say they're trusting the timekeeper up in the booth.
Well, the timekeeper should be watching the referee. The referee gives a signal when to stop the clock.
Right.
The clock stops on goals. The clock stops on injuries. The clock stops on cards.
Right.
And so we're waiting for, hopefully what happens is the scorekeeper and the timer wait for the signal.
So
But there have been occasions where there either clock malfunction or there's a delay in the start or restart of the clock. And again, the actual official time is always kept by the referee. He can override the stadium clock.
So one thing I'm seeing here, Bob, is I'm seeing a little bit more aggression out of the Hartford Tech defenders and midfielders in what we call stepping up. So when North Hartford is releasing the ball out of their back end, their forward and midfielder is coming to the ball, let's say 15 miles per hour, but the Hartford Tech players coming to it 20 miles per hour. They're just stepping right around them at the last second, and they're getting some extra possessions because of that. There's kind of a risk reward for that. If you step up at the wrong time, now if he saves that, he could cross it. It wasn't the best clear there that they wanted. They're kind of getting each other's way. North Hartford's fighting back for the ball. Good strip there. Nice heel ball. Now this is that transition I was talking about. They're switching fields with it. They're gaining some territory. Now you have if he hits that one-on-one, that's a foul there. You might be thinking, why did he not pass it to the left wing right away?
Yeah,
he wanted to draw the right defender before he touched it out there.
There's a card. It's a yellow card to the defender there. The foul was from behind, destroyed the obvious opportunity for to continue the attack. So the referee would consider that to be a cynical foul. So a yellow card for that first player. And so now with
there's the chip ball I was talking about. Flick on. Nice job, keeper. Now they're going to call him for running into goalie, I think.
Yeah.
Now that was a good play all the way around. The flick was really nice. The gather for the Hartford Tech attack was very nice. He turned to get a strike on it. The keeper blocked it. And then in the follow through, he ran into the keeper. I don't think it was malicious. It just happened.
Well, actually, before that happened, there was offside.
Oh, I didn't even see the offside.
So what happens occasionally is people will see there's a foul or what they think is a foul, but technically the play was already dead.
Mm-hmm.
So what I was getting back to the yellow card is now that player has to play extremely cautious. They cannot afford to risk challenges that aren't clean. They have to play real smart, because if they were to get that second yellow, it's an automatic red, and then their team has to play down the rest of the game.
We're going to call the late foul there. I want to get the number of the player that was fouled, because that might be Santiago, I'm not sure. He did a very good job of dribbling through 3 or 4 players, but I think he kept the ball a little too long. Now, he did get the foul, but he got bottled up there, and he got bailed out with a foul, because at that point, you normally have to dish to somebody or you have to strike the ball, because you're not going to get past the 5th and 6th player in the back there very often. So,
now, and with that crowd around him, he wasn't going to get a decent shot anyway.
Right. That's where you're looking through a slide pass to a wing or something. Now, let's see what they do. Basically in the same situation the other team just had. Hartford Tech just had a kick from about the same area. They did a flick on. You could just strike this right in and try to sneak that through the crowd. Trying to save that ball. Looked like it was out.
Yeah.
Beautiful scene we have here, Bob. We have a very good view up here, just like the camera, just below our wonderful cameraman. You can see pretty far. We see a baseball field across the other side, another soccer field. Beautiful school that was just redone recently, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they actually remodeled the school.
Yeah.
They kept some original parts of it and remodeled it. It was,
Have you ever seen their weight room?
yes.
Oh my, it's so beautiful. The AD here is Justin Martinek, and the principal is Brian Paulicki. I know Brian and his family from back in my son C. Milton Wright days. And he used to be an AP at C. Milton Wright. And I think he's been up here at North Hartford for a good while now. We mentioned the officials. We appreciate them. Nice ball down there. Good defense. I don't know who the athletic trainer would be here, but that's another neat thing, Bob, that we didn't have. They have athletic trainers at almost every game.
Yeah, there's much greater emphasis on taking care of the players. And of course, with the whole issue about concussions, etc. So that was one of the main reasons that they decided to do that. So we're making sure that we're player safety first. Absolutely.
There's a good cross again, but it's a little bit crowded in there, and that's going to be a strike. One thing I'm going to say, Bob, is sometimes you have to adapt, and that long throw hasn't really worked yet, so they may have to do something different. Block, but out of bounds off of North Harford.
Yeah, it's the same thing with corner kicks. After a while, sometimes it's the same thing. So you try a short corner, or you're going to do a short throw.
So it's 1-0 Harford Tech. We have 6:49 to go in the first half here. Both teams have had opportunities and pressured each other's goal. I would say the scoreboard is accurate in what I would say the game is going, that Harford Tech has had probably a 60-40 control of the game. As we are talking here, Bob, I can hear the fans below us coaching from the bleachers. That's another thing that you experience as a coach and a referee, and you have a lot of critics in the bleachers, whether you're a coach or a referee.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that you learn in referee school 101 is don't have rabbit ears.
Yes.
So ignore that stuff.
Yes. Yeah, defensive refereeing is not the way to go. I've had a few, and again, I say that I have total respect for what you all do as referees and what I've done before, but my only time I've ever really got in trouble with referees, I've said, I wasn't even talking to you. I was talking to my bench, or I was talking to my parents, or my assistant coach, or the other coach. And so you are right. That is a very well pointed out thing. Not having rabbit ears, because if it's not really directed directly at you, or it's not overboard, sometimes if you go at the coach or the misguided fan, it will be worse for you than better.
Yeah, you don't need to throw fuel on the fire. And it's not saying that coaches and players can't talk to referees, especially if they disagree with a with a call. But a lot of times it's the way you do it. So, in fact, I gave a card today for dissent, and it's the first card that I've given all year long. And it wasn't so much what the player said, it was the way he said it, and said it so loud that it was basically challenging my authority and disrespectful. And so at some point, you have an opportunity. You use your tools that you have to manage the game. A lot of times it's simply the way you call the game, and then sometimes it's the fact that you can talk to players, give them warnings, and then sometimes it's necessary to reach in your pocket and be a little bit more authoritative.
That was a really nice save on the sideline there by Santiago.
Yes.
He not only got the save, but he was able to strike the ball. It went off of the, Harvard Tech defender. And by the way, folks, for those of you who have never played soccer, yes, the ball can hurt you. So we only have these two little shin pads on our shins, and the rest of our body is unprotected. So I've had broken nose, I've broken fingers, many bruises in the game, and one thing I like, Bob, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't see what some people critique, like European soccer with the divers and this and that. I don't see that in high school as much, and youth.
Not too much, but
it's gaining a little bit of momentum.
Starting to rear its ugly head here.
Well, I'll tell you what I really like in not only soccer, but in basketball and other sports. They're now giving penalties for diving.
Well, that is a cautionable offense here in soccer. If you simulate a foul that wasn't, if you exaggerate a foul in order to attempt to influence the referee to give a card to the other team, you can be sanctioned yourself with a yellow card.
And for those who don't understand the difference, folks, there's a difference between drawing a foul and faking a foul. So I can deliberately know that I'm not going to be able to get to the goal, and if I slow up, this person's going to run me over. Well, I was actually ran over, so that's a foul. And I drew the foul, just like a player in basketball can take a charge and other things. But these blatant tripping your own self with your other foot and diving to the ground, it could be a yellow card right away. And I like that.
Well, I think, we see that so much in some of the professional games. And the only way they're ever going to get that under control is that the league will have to look at the replays on those situations and then sanction the team or the player long after game is over.
Exactly. And by the way, I love having not just a great soccer mind up here in Bob First, but I like having a referee up here with me, because that exact situation was a player trying to shield the ball off, got pushed from behind. It dropped to another player in Harford Tech, and he played it down the sideline out of bounds. So that's what we call advantage. So the referee was letting it play on in case that's a foul there. That might be a card. In case the play benefited Harford Tech. Once they realized it wasn't benefiting them, he called the foul.
Yep, there's the foul. There's the card.
Yep.
That number, I can't see it from here.
That was pretty blatant. That looked a little personal there. And what will happen is Coach Dempsey will talk to him and say, we don't need that. We're winning 1-0. We're controlling more of the game. Don't put us in danger. Now they're really dropping back here. And my reason here here's the foul, Bob. Let's watch what happens here. Okay, so just missed it. That ball bouncing around a little bit strange there. You don't want, that's a loose ball.
It's a scrum. Ooh.
And it's in.
It snuck in.
So let's see if we can find out who scored that. If we can see the celebration here, we might be able to see who they're patting on the back here. That's just that scrum. Ball bouncing around. Somebody just pokes it.
Goal, North Harford Hawks, number 17, Ryder Taylor.
So that was number 17, Ryder Taylor.
Yes.
And no assist there. That ball was just there. So I think that was literally with like 1 minute and 15 to go. Here's the replay. Well, that ball bounced around there.
Went off defender.
Yes, it did. But, to his credit, he got a strike on the ball, and that was it.
Well, that's what, if you don't shoot, you can't score. And that's, what you hope for sometimes. That situation, that's all you can hope for, is that the ball is going to get banged around and it's going to deflect off of somebody. I really thought the goalkeeper was going to get that one, but it just managed to sneak under his arm.
Well, that's that turf helping speed the ball up, too. If that was the dry grass, that ball might be slowed down enough to get. But you skid that ball, and you know what? You were right. That was a little bit of a combination of his strike and the defender deflecting it. And when that happens, that can put a little bit of weird spin on the ball, too. So it looks like we're counting down the clock here to halftime. So, Bob, I'm gonna say that all sports can sometime not have the clock indicative of the game, but that's the cruel injustice of sports sometimes. I thought Harford Tech controlled most of that half. Not dominating, just controlled more of it. But they put one ball in. None of the defenders are able to clear it. It drops to a North Harford player's foot amongst people. Able to get a strike off. Goalie, as you said, you played a little bit of it. Can't really see that initially because they're screened.
And this, really, the whole sequence of that goal started with that unnecessary foul out towards midfield where the player got the card, and that really stopped. It put North Harford in a position. Tech in a position where they had to drop back to defend, so that they were going to have these, the free kick coming in.
So now you're the coach of both teams. You're Coach Lane. I'd say you've only won 40% of the 50-50 balls, and the other team is controlling the ball a little bit better than us and transitioning from defense to offense with better passing and control. But you just got a goal. You have a reprieve. you got to tell your team, hey, we're in this game. Let's get out there now. Let's out hustle them now. We're being out hustled. Let's out hustle them. We can get this. Now, if you're Mike Dempsey for Harford Tech, you got a different conversation. Yep. So we are going to wrap up this half temporarily here. We had a goal at the 15-minute mark for Harford Tech by Ben Kodrowski, assisted by Brendan Coldiron. And then North Hartford evened it up with 1:15 to go with a goal by Ryder Taylor. We'll be back with second half action right after this break. Welcome back to the second half action of the Sports Showcase event on Harford TV. I'm Ray Hughes here with my broadcast partner, Bob Frisch. We have a great game going on here, Bob. It's 1-1. I think that there's the first shot there. Watch this. That was a rebound off the post. Now look at this cross. And he does kind of inside out this with his right foot. Saw the goalie committed to one side, put in the other. Now the ball's loose. Quick strike. Just scoots in there. Just scoots in there. So very good first half action. Now we have a little youth game going on here, Bob. This happens often at half times of high school events. Especially soccer is a great one to do this for. They brought the goals out here. That's a really cool experience for the kids.
Oh yeah, I remember when my sons were playing, and we actually got to go down to what was then, the Baltimore Arena, and in between blast games during the halftime, the kids would get to go down and play on the field, and what a thrill for them,
Well, I used to arrange whole days of that, so I was good friends with Kevin Healy, and I knew him well, and he was the general manager and coach at one point, and Dan Counts was the coach down for the Blast for a while, and we would arrange whole days before the game for the kids to go down and play, and they thought they were big leaguers.
That reminds me, it's sort of like the Orioles allow the kids to run the bases after the game. It's just it's terrific. It's a way to build friendship. It's a build a fan base, and these kids think, oh, they're the future. They're going to be the next high school players that are.
Well, it's funny you say that because I'm a season ticket holder for the Orioles and the Ravens, and you get like rewards and bonuses and chances to do things. And all the years at the Ravens, even when we got on-field opportunities, I wasn't going to that game. So my brother and my father got to go in the field and hold the American flag and do stuff. So on September 30th, I get to go on the field at Camden Yards. And we only had enough points for one person, and my 22-year-old son was like, who gets to do this, Dad? And I'm thinking, who pays for the tickets? And who's the oldest guy who's been going down there for 50 years or plus?
That's right. He'll get another chance.
That's right. I'm old enough to remember Brooks Robinson playing. So if I get to go on the field one time, I'm getting my opportunity. So here we go, Bob. Second half starting. We got 40 minutes to go, folks, with this. And again, beautiful, beautiful scene here at North Harford High School. Beautiful turf field. Two fairly evenly matched teams who I think are going to make some noise in the playoffs this year. North Harford is going to be in a tougher situation because they're 2A, and C. Milton Wright High School went down to 2A. Falston High School went up to 2A. So that's a really loaded group for Harford County. Harford Tech is still 1A. So I'm going to go on record as saying they're going to be a tough team to beat out of the regionals for 1A in our area.
Yeah, that's interesting that, we have the 4 different classes now in all the different sports. When I played, there was only one county champion. That was it, and it only went on to the state playoffs.
And you only had 4 teams from each region. Now it's open playoff. Everybody makes it.
Right. And so when I was playing, North Harford never had a football team.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, all their talented athletes played soccer. And so North Harford had won.
Wow, nice strike.
Yeah, had won the county championship year after year after year. And we finally, 1972, we knocked them off in a playoff game because we finished the season tied, and we played it in a neutral site in Havre de Grace, and we won that game. We got to go on to the state playoff.
Yeah, I think my father-in-law played on some of those North Harford soccer teams. So right now, we talked about halftime adjustments and what they're going to do. So I'm interested to see North Harford in particular, because like I said, without being too critical, I think that Harford Tech was a little bit faster to the ball and loose ball. How much can Coach Lane get them to be more aggressive?
Well, it's about being aggressive, but also I think that they need to work on a little more possession.
Yes.
Because that's what happens is they give the ball away, and then and they're losing the possession and they're losing the amount of time on the ball. So I think especially when they get the open slots, that they need to take the time and again look at the field, see what's out there for you.
Well, I'll tell you a perfect example of that is I'm going to get the number here, but number 15 on Harford Tech just came through that ball, Brody Smith, and the defensive end had just got it to his own feet quickly. That might be a little bit too strong of a touch, just over the end line.
Yeah, he'd have been better off passing that ball off to the wing.
Yeah. Well, sometimes the turf is your friend and sometimes it's not your friend. So I would either pass that ball wide there or cross it at the 30-yard line, because as you're running full speed and you're pushing the ball gets faster and faster as you're running faster. So that last push just had too much momentum. The ball's in the air a lot right now, Bob, the last couple minutes, and I think both teams want to get this ball on the ground and settled and try to go feet to feet. But North Harford does seem to like to lift the ball a little bit more than Harford Tech does. Okay, that was a missed trap there, but the left back gets the ball back again, slides it to the middle, little inside-outside action. Good job coming over here. You get a little shot of that. You can see the ball boys and ball girls in the sideline, always greatly appreciated. That was our hardest job as a head coach, was to recruit the ball girls and boys.
And they're an integral part of the game, because what happens is we want the players to have as much time playing the game, and we're waiting for the ball. It goes way out of bounds and it takes time to run over there and collect the balls. That's less playing time that the players have, and we want to give them every opportunity.
Well, they also want quick transition. Got to watch that high bounce there on the turf sometimes. So we're going to have to see if the North Harford player could save that. He did, but he saved it to Harford Tech. A little burst of speed there. Now that should be a little flick inside, but it went to North Harford. Goalie on alert there. Now you'll see more goalies, especially on turf. Sometimes they'll punt the ball. Sometimes they'll do it like a drop kick. And that's more of a low line drive ball. But sometimes they'll come out firing and throwing the ball. And if you have a goalie with a good arm, that could be a real weapon also. I haven't seen either goalie throw the ball today, I don't think. They've been mostly punting the ball.
Yeah, and that's a strategy that a lot of goalies are taking now, is they're not kicking the ball down, because the reality is most of the time it's a 50-50 ball when you kick it in the air. So the idea is main possession. So play the ball off to your defenders in the back, maintain possession, and move the ball forward under control.
That was an interesting move to maintain that ball, but when he just served it forward and he get that ball wide, that was an interesting choice there, because if he gets the ball into the middle to number 7, and that would be trying to find out here in Harford Tech who number 7 is. Ben Kradowski again, who scored our goal. He would be in a good position, but the more wide open pass was outright. So it's that risk reward again. Do I get the safe pass to the open player? But if I could slot this ball down the middle here, that's a one-time strike at the 15-yard line. Okay, there's that good throw, which should be a flick on. No? So let's see what kind of breakout. We had a little miss kick there, and there's a clear that wasn't done. I do like the trapping skills that I've seen. That's a nice shot.
Oh, wow.
Let's see who that was.
That was a tremendous shot.
Totally took the goalie by surprise. And we can get the number here. Looks like 13 or 17. I'll have to get a better shot at that.
Harford Tech goal.
Quality strike.
Number 13,
Yeah.
Brendan Carr.
Wow, that's one he'll remember. Quick momentum change here. So we got that starting from a throw in. Ball comes inside, goes right back out to the outside. Ball wasn't cleared, so we talked about the ball not being cleared, Bob, and how important that was. Both the last two goals were the result of the ball not being cleared. So are we thinking that is Ryder Taylor, 17, that was out there?
It looked like that.
No, I'm sorry, wrong team. Number 7 or 17, or could it have been Penn Coldren? We'll have to find out who that was. So, Bob, tell me what you think about how do you react from a quick, decisive goal like that?
Well, it's just about keeping, poise. It's, you aggressively, you want to get it back right away, but the idea is you've managed to play the game fairly even, so there's a lot of time left in the half, and you don't want to do something foolish by pressing too far forward and creating a situation where you leave yourself exposed in the rear. So it's just about, okay, you got a game plan, let's just stick to it.
Yeah. So what we have there is I did find out that that was Brendan Coldiron who assisted our goal before. So 2 crucial plays in the game so far. A beautiful pass on the first goal and to open the game's first scoring. And then that one right there, if he's not left-footed, that was amazing. I mean, we all dream of that beautiful head ball goal or our non-dominant foot. So now we have 32 minutes to go here, and Harford Tech has gotten back the momentum with that goal right now. And North Hartford, as we say in sports, you have to have amnesia. You got to forget that. You came out good in the beginning of this half. Now you got to get some pressure back on the other team. They are having trouble clearing the ball well, though. I mean, I think that they need to get more possession, like you said, even on transition. So there's another good ball.
Yeah, this is not the time to get into panic mode. And
Right.
tendency for teams when they do that is just decide they have to kick the ball. They got to kick it as far as they can to clear it out. But the idea is, let's try to trap the ball, let's gain possession, lift your head up, see what's around the field, and work the ball out through possession instead of just kicking it.
So there's another facet of the game that we now call bumping the ball. So you pass it forward 30 yards. You drop it back 15 yards. You find another through pass to somebody. You bump it up another 15, 20 yards. You're not going to get downfield very often with one big pass, especially on the turf. It's easy for the defenders to defend that. Now, see, one thing you'll see there is Harford Tech. Oh, they didn't clear that one. They tried to switch fields, and the player got a hold of it. But watch how Harford Tech transitions. They're finding a foot. There should be a foul there. Nope. They called it late. So you're getting the boo birds from the crowd here saying, why did you call that so late?
Well, the reality is sometimes you as a referee, you're analyzing the play in your head.
Right.
Okay, and what you want to do is you'd rather be criticized for making the call late than making the wrong call.
Exactly.
So if you have to take your time a little bit to process it in your head to confirm in your own mind what you saw, then that's what you do.
Well, and to that point, Bob, I love it when we see, you can't do it as easily in soccer because they're on opposite sidelines. But occasionally, even in soccer, you'll see 2 officials confirm. And we've seen it in some of the other sports. And I love seeing officials, whether it's a high school game, a youth game, or a game on TV, make sure they get it right.
That's it.
You know, did you see what I saw? Oh, no, you saw that it deflected off of the defender? Okay, good. I'll change that call. Get it right is respected by the coaches more than being too modest about it.
So and so here we see.
Nice backdoor pass.
Oh my!
He almost gathered that.
Yeah, just the turf monster got him.
Yeah. I was waiting to say, when was the turf monster going to get somebody? I mean, I'll tell you what, folks, I've run full speed down a turf before, And even though I was a track runner, pretty good, that turf monster would get me, and I'd get all the way down towards the goal, and all of a sudden my legs start melting to the ground, or you stub your toe into the turf and you're down. Nice slide to block there. Let's see who they call that out on. Oh, that could be a little bit of a warning there. The way the Harford Tech player jumped in front of the thrower there.
So I was getting ready to say, see, here we have they're using 2 referees.
Yes.
And a lot of times, if you're watching professional, you're watching college, and depending on where if you're watching high school, a lot of programs now the high schools are going to 3-man.
Yes.
So you have a center official that makes most of the calls, and then you have the 2 side officials that are calling out of bounds, offside, and so my own personal opinion is I think you get a better officiated game with the 3-man crew, simply because now something that happens outside midfield, you have both referees, they're 40 or 50 yards from the play. And sometimes it's just really difficult to see what's happening at.
Oh, there could be a penalty here. So the goalie is down. Oh, this is when the coaches and the players need to get their teammates away from each other.
Yeah.
So I was just going to say the pace of the play really picked up there the last 2 minutes. Both teams going hard at the ball and making quick passes. And this is when a good teammate and captain needs to calm their own teammates down and say, don't retaliate, don't do anything. Let's just play the game.
Yeah, I think in this particular case is the player was coming on. He had a lot of momentum. The referee didn't think it was anything deliberate there,
Right.
but at the same time, let's have a conversation. Hey, you need to be a little more careful. That's your warning. Next time, it might be something a little more significant, either some kind of a card.
So, Bob, these 2 teams have had. There's the play right there. You just kind of accidentally stuck each other and tripped. I mean, it's a tough position to be on both players. If you're the forward, if you slide in on that ball with your feet, even if you get to it first, it's dangerous for you and the goalie. I've seen broken legs on the attacking player on sliding feet first, and hand and upper body injuries on the goalie. If the goalie goes in too fast, takes out the offensive player, it's very dangerous also. So that came out pretty much as good as it could have been, and neither of those players hurt.
Right.
So now you have 26 minutes to go here. North Hartford needs to muster some offense, see if they can get this game tied before anything else. Now, good job by the Harford Tech forward to come back and get that ball. Now he's doing a chip on. Goalie doing a smart thing and coming out and playing that with his feet. If he doesn't come out and get that ball, then the Harford Tech player is possessing that ball going into the left side of the box. I am just very impressed with the Harford Tech trapping skills.
They do a fair number of simple 1-touches or 2 touches in a pass, and they're passing to open space where they know that their players are.
That was a great play all around by Harford Tech, but look at the smart job that defender did in the back there for North Hartford. Legally shielded off so that player could not get a strike on that ball and cross it. It's within the rules, acted like he was playing the ball, and then doesn't have to continue to play the ball if it's going out of bounds. So we are really, this is a crucial part of the game, Bob. Like, you get the put away goal, as we call it, the insurance goal. It's not put away by being up 2, but getting that 1 more goal differential really changes the game. Or North Hartford gets the goal, and it's back to square again. So next score is crucial for both teams. Nice throw again. You're looking for that flick on. It came right back to the person throwing the ball in. Nice strike, but just back behind the goal. So we're going to get to the crucial part here, probably in about 14 minutes, maybe even less. Depends on the coaching philosophy of when you have to push numbers up. So you're down by a goal. You got to at least square it up. So do you drop one of your defenders and add a midfielder? Do you drop one of your midfielders and add an attack person? You sometimes have to do that to tie the game, but it also makes your defense more vulnerable.
Exposes you.
So got a free kick here for Harford Tech. Like a player was tripped up in the middle of the field. So some past history on these teams. 2 years ago, I have it that I think it's Harford Tech, Seamount Wright, and Falston all went to the state final and lost in the championship game. So Harford County was well represented that year.
Well, that might have been 2 years ago. I know that Falston boys played in the final, lost 2 years in a row to Brunswick in overtime. And then, but last year,
There you go.
yeah,
So that ball was picked up on the left side there, and they're laying down on the field. And I'm going to say that was, let me get the number here, 6. I think that was number 6 that got that, but goal. That was just a ball that was poked in towards the goal and then kind of bounced right to him, and he just did a quick strike in the upper left corner over the goalie.
yeah. When the ball is struck that close to the goalie.
So 15 hits the ball in, it's blocked off by a defender, and then he just one-times it with a left-footed volley. And for Harford Tech, that would have been Chris Jimenez. Sometimes, Bob, it's better to be opportunistic than good.
Yeah, we used to call the players like that called the garbage man. And then that's exactly what it was. A garbage in there, and unfortunately for the goalkeeper, he's so close that he doesn't have time to react when the ball is struck like that.
Now there's that 2-goal lead that I was talking about, and let's see how it changes the style of both plays for both teams. You just pointed it out a few minutes ago, not the time to panic. 22 minutes is enough time to score 2 or 3 goals.
Yeah.
But you got to score 1 before you can score 2. So be patient as we're waiting for the injured player to get up.
Little cramp there.
Sometimes when a player goes down, the coach is required to take them out, and sometimes they're not. There's a deflection there. That could have been dangerous. We call it, well, I do know, tell me if this is correct. And when I coached, if the coach came on the field to attend to the player had to go off the field.
Yes. So, I mean, obviously, when you have someone that's seriously hurt, you know, it's usually pretty easy to tell, and you know, you stop the game right there, and you beckon the coach and the medical people to come onto the field right away. But sometimes it's simply a player gets a knock, they get a cramp, and so my tendency, and just as you saw here, was the referee went over and talked to the player and said, "Are you good? Do you need to go, or can you stay on?" And so I like to let the players tell me. Obviously sometimes players want to stay in when they shouldn't, and I make that decision. I'm saying, "No, son, I think you need to go," and I direct them to go off the field because again, it's all about player safety. But at the same time, we don't want to take players out of the game that don't need to come out. And so there was an example. Kid had a little bit of cramp, stretch it out a little bit. He says he's good to go. All right, then he is allowed to stay in the game. But yeah, once the referee beckons some assistance, then it's a requirement that the player leave the field.
So coming into this game, North Hartford beat Aberdeen 5-0 and Northeast 4-1. Lost to Seamount Wright 2-0 and Harford 2-1. 2 very strong programs. And coming into this, they had a variety of people scoring goals for them. There was really no one player put the ball in the net all the time. It was like 5 players had 1 goal and a couple had 2 goals. And you like to have that versatility because nobody can key in on one player.
Right.
Now here's a loose ball. If he gets a good trap and a strike, another deflection, but the goalie was right there when they needed to be. So
there's a throw for the keeper.
Yeah,
and you see, there's a quality throw. He throws it right to a player who's able to control it initially. So, yeah, sometimes, like I say, the throw is much better than the kick.
So the ball just bouncing around here like a ping pong ball right now. And I want to say that North Hartford's panicking a little bit in terms of feeling they got to get 2 goals in one play. Just be patient and find a teammate's foot. It's a nice service there, head ball. A little standing around there on the North Hartford defense. Yeah, see, I thought that ball was off North Hartford, so I missed the deflection there. I used to tell my teams, pin them in. They're throwing the ball in from their own 10-yard line at their defensive end. Be aggressive defensively right now and pin them in. So, yeah, made the ball go out of bounds again, but that's a tough spot to get out of. Nice settle, nice move. Nice diagonal drop all the way across the midfield, but good stick there. They called that a foul. I guess that was a little bit more body than they wanted.
Yep.
Officials are doing a good job keeping the game under control. Players are trying to start to chirp at them right now, and they're telling them, you know, hey, that's the call. Move on.
Yeah, there's not that it happened in this case, but there's always this, we always hear from the players is, well, I got the ball. Well, that's true, you may have gotten the ball, but just you have to do it under control.
Right.
And just because you get the ball doesn't mean you are allowed to go through the other player.
Right.
So, yeah, so a lot of times, say, oh, I got the ball, but it's still a foul.
Yeah. Got to have control of your body and the force that you go through it with it. So you see here the different formations on the wall. They're putting 3 people in one spot. There's little gaps there, so you definitely want to, as the kicker, just missed the wall. That was way too high. People that watch ESPN Top 10 plays and you see Messi put it in the top of right corner and he bends the ball 3 yards and drops it 2. That's not normal, folks.
No,
that's not normal.
That's incredibly skilled.
For a high school player to be able to put the ball over the wall but drop under the bar, very, very difficult to do. So we're running the ball upfield here because there was a foul back earlier in the play.
Okay.
He's got to back off the ball 10 yards.
Yeah.
And the official,
no.
see, that's not necessary. I wouldn't do that if I was the player.
No, okay. Here
the referee's coming
comes the
over.
referee.
And other players are getting in players' faces, and I know neither coach condones this. So you see one teammate just come along and push their teammates away and say, stop. So yes, the player was infringing on the 10-yard space. It's the referee's job to take care of that young man, not you. And the captain of North Hartford, or one of the captains, went over and told him, okay, we just killed 1 minute of our own time, and we didn't need to do that. Referee will warn players, Bob, generally on that, if they're encroaching too much, and they know they're doing it deliberately.
Yeah, referees, they do a coin flip with the captains and they give instructions. And one of the things that I say a routine is that, all right, you know how to play the game. Let's play hard, but let's play fair.
Right.
But there are a couple things that are sort of like my pet peeves, And I say, make sure you respect the 10, meaning that you need to get
nice curve
back.
Yes, and if they're like 8, 9, you're not going to be real upset about it.
Yeah.
But if they're like 3 yards away, like he was just doing, you can give them a warning.
Well,
also,
actually, you can give him a card.
they're getting chippy here, and
Yes.
tempers are starting to fly. And I wouldn't be surprised to see coaches subbing players out and telling them, calm yourself down. I used to do that. If I had players that were starting to get a little bit personal, I'd pull them out and say, that's not helping us get into the flow of our game. We need to put together passes and get some good things going here. So one thing you notice there, that central midfielder right there just kind of lays back for that diagonal drop. Once the Harvard Tech player got that ball under control over here at the 40-yard line, he just did a pullback and he passed it right to the center of the basically midfield. and then the ball switched all the way to the right side. Now they're down on the other team's end. And there's a loose ball. And we got another goal there. And I'm going to get the number there.
Goal, Cobras, number 13, Brendan Clark.
So that was let's see the replay here. Number 13. Looks like he got that goal. Again, it's another loose ball not cleared, Bob. I mean, it's just bouncing around and strike. Boom. And not a whole lot you could do about that as a goalkeeper. So that was Brendan Cold Iron. And that was his second goal of the game. So we got a 4-1 lead here with 14:41 to go in the game. Harford Tech's getting clear control of the game right now. So Bob, we've had, between the two teams, we've had 3 goals that were just loose balls not cleared and then strike. And to the credit of all 3 scorers, low ball, which we said is tough for a goalie.
Yeah, it's harder to dive down than it is to dive up.
Yeah. People don't understand that often, folks. They think the highlight reel goal is just to put it up high on the goalie. And yeah, if you see the goalie cheating out, you lift it over them. But we said it before, when you're playing on turf, you have a ball come to your feet inside the 30, you get a hard low strike, that ball can get all the way through, and that's been proven multiple times here. Okay, that's a pretty good service, a little bit back further than I probably wanted. Fighting back for the ball. Good job by North Hartford. Good stick there, fought through it. Another foul there, that should be called. Foul around the 23-yard line of the football field. So this is gonna be like a 33 to 40 yard out from the goal by the time they set it down. Well, maybe not quite that much.
There was an example. The player got the ball, but it was clear that was just sort of by accident because he was definitely playing the player.
Yeah, sometimes your body gets out of control and you don't mean it to. So you see there that the referees backed the 3 players on the wall back slightly. Now you have 2 choices here. You could chip it to the 3 players on the left side that are breaking in, or you can shoot it. And he shoots it. And that's that top crossbar that I talked about. But mine wasn't fair, Bob. Mine bounced straight down to the 2-yard line before they put it in the goal. That one bounced back 35 yards. It was clear. Well, my father didn't know a lot about soccer, but he told me, you play to that final whistle. You play the ball until you hear the referee blow a whistle and call the foul or the ball out of bounds. Nice flick head ball there. So that ball was trapped nicely and put to the outside. Wide open player on the right side there. He's cutting it back. Probably going to take it across field here, which I love my players doing. So he puts it back out to the right side again. So we should have a throw in coming here for Harford Tech, but let's see which way they call it.
Going back to the officiating system, so that little issue down there with the direct kick and then the player encroached and everything. See, if you'd had a third official, the one on the field, he'd have been there where the ball was being spotted, and he would have dealt with that immediately. So he would have been telling the away player, you need to get out of here, you need to respect the 10, and if he thought it was too blatant, like I say, you can get a card on that.
There's a nice throw. Look for that. Nope. That was a good job by the North Hartford defender to sky over top of the Harford Tech player to head ball clear that. So you got some nice moves here on the right side. Let's see. Oh, nice little pullback and flick. Gets the ball to his midfielder, who's going to do a nice drop pass. And this one you're going to probably switch fields with the ball soon, but proved me wrong there and just went downfield with the ball. We talked about the skill of the defenders now, Bob. they can pass the ball around the back as well as the offense can pass these days. I mean, some of the teams that I had, boys and girls, in recent years, I'm lucky enough to coach many kids that have played around this county and beyond, and their defenses can pass the ball with such precision. Okay, he's maintained possession of that ball, put it out here wide. Gonna probably switch it again. There it is, wide open over there. Let's see if he gets the trap down. Nice head ball. Little quick move. Defender slid the ball out of bounds. Good hustle on the defense. I'm impressed to see a defender hustle that hard with 10 minutes to go, losing 4-1. Shows heart right there.
Took a little knock doing it too.
Mm-hmm. There's a good throw in. Just could be a high kick. Settle. Some blocks. Yeah, some of those slides on the turf are dramatic plays, Bob, but they don't feel good later.
No, I don't remember getting too many burns on the grass, but on the turf, those raspberries show up pretty quick.
You get in a hot shower later, you feel it. So we've down the 9-minute point of this game. 4-1 lead for Harford Tech. It's getting a little bit bleak here for North Harford. They need to put something in now to give themselves a chance. So this is the point I talked about before, Bob, where you have to maybe decide to push numbers up. And I think that's what had already happened. I think when it got to 2-1, they vacated one defender and they pushed up, and that made them more vulnerable in the back, and that's the risk you have to take. Nice steal there, but North Harford won it back. Deflection off of his foot. One thing I noticed about this game, Bob, too, is the Harford Tech forwards come back to the ball very well. They don't run away from it. If it's coming to them, they come to it, they gather it, and they look for their next pass.
That, or they don't just wait for it to come to them.
Right.
That's where the defenders has the opportunity to step up on you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I call it playing off defense from the offense. Why just let the defender of the other team step around you easily and get the ball, transition the ball up the other end when you can fight for it right there in your offensive end? So the goalkeeper here is getting ready to do it clear. See what kind of foot. More often than not, at high school and above level, you'll have goalkeepers taking the goal kicks because they have the foot and the skill.
Yeah, and but again, same sort of thing. Is the chances are it's 50-50 ball. I've started to see some of the better teams. What they do is they just go ahead and play it immediately to one of their defenders that's in the box because the offensive players can't enter the box until the ball's played.
And that's a rule change.
That's a rule change this year.
You didn't used to do that. I was watching one of the World Cup games and I was like, when did they not make you have to clear the ball from the box on the goal kick?
Yeah. So that allows you to establish possession
nice
right
foot.
away, and you can control moving the ball forward.
That was a nice flick head ball right there.
Yep.
But the problem was that head ball flick was like literally at the 15-yard line. It's really hard to get enough power on it from there to get by one of these good goalkeepers.
But
Nice.
if you're going to play out of the back with those goal kicks to your defenders, they have to have superior foot skills.
Yes.
Because as soon as they touch it, and immediately they can be attacked inside their own box.
Oh, that was a nice idea there. He gathered the ball in the box. Whoops. That's another one of those tangle-ups that wasn't meant to happen. And you have to hope that the player is okay because they tangled up pretty good there. That, to me, did not look deliberate, Bob. It looked like two players coming from two different angles that didn't clearly see each other and were just watching the ball.
Yeah, incidental contact. I'd say every time somebody goes down, isn't a foul. Every time the ball touches the hand, it's not a foul.
So, Bob, we already have 5:50 to go here. So as we're getting down here near the end, I'm going to already ask you some questions about your opinion about the flow of this game and what you think the differences were in this game.
Well, I just think Tech was a little more aggressive to the ball. From what I've seen of the players, I think they have some better foot skills. They've managed to possess the ball. They have, in my view, a good view of the field. They're well schooled as far as looking up and looking for the open player, or they know to pass to a certain area because they know that their teammates are schooled to be, in that position. So I think that was probably the difference in the game that allowed Tech to really control the majority of the play. I think North Harford has, was unfortunate. It really was. It's a couple of the goals that were scored were just, like I say, they're scrums. If two of those goals hadn't been scored, this is a different game.
It's a one-goal game.
It's a one-goal game. And so, but I think some of that has to do with a lack of control by North Harford. I think that they should try to possess the ball a little bit more and try to work the ball out with some deliberate tactics instead of just too much kick and run from my perspective.
So, to your point, I just did a girls' field hockey game 2 nights ago with Janice Rhodes, like you, an expert in her area, and she described the game as the thirds of the field. And we talk about that in soccer too, in other sports too. I think the difference between these two teams was the middle third of the field. When Harford Tech possession, they had like a nice little touch move, and then they found the foot. And then they were able to transition the ball 30 yards, a whole third of the field. And it gave them a lot more controlled opportunities. More often than not, we both said the same thing. When North Harford won some of the 50-50 balls, there was no connection to the next pass. It was just a long ball that was a 50-50 ball for the defender and the offensive player. And no offense to the offensive player, the defensive player has an advantage in that because they're coming out towards the ball. So I see a lot of potential in both of these teams. I think North Harford is going to be somebody to be reckoned with. They only lost 2-0 to C. Milton Wright in a good game, and a one-goal game to Harford, which is always a strong team. So I think they're going to grow, and they're going to be a very good team by the end of the season. But I'm looking at this Harford Tech team as a real contender in 1A.
Yeah, you got to remember, North Harford won the state championship last year in their class.
They told me they actually lost by a goal.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
yes.
Well, the state must have the record wrong because
Yes.
I looked at it today on their website. But still, the fact that they got to the championship game, so they know how to play. Of course, I don't know how much they lost to graduation and how much they've lost to injury. That's always a factor. But this is a game where hopefully they're going to look at film and they can learn from what they have done here, how they can improve their game. Like I say, Harford Tech, I think that they're showing me some really positives here in this game. So, but I had C. Milton Wright against Calvert Hall earlier this year's scrimmage game, and C. Milton only lost 2-1 because I called a penalty kick against them. So it was really a much more competitive and even game, even than the one goal showed. And and like I said, I actually in Harford, I've had Harford. I have them later. As a matter of fact, I have them on Friday, and. They're a quality program, so to have gone and then we lost 1-0 to Harford is also says something about the quality of the team. It's just, and you know what? Really good teams have bad games, and maybe this is just one of those situations.
Well, the game snowballed, as we mentioned. I did a girls' soccer game last year between Falston and Patterson Mill, and Falston, it was 0-0 with 10 minutes to go in the game. And Falston was outplaying them slightly, but they got a goal. And then Patterson Mill had to push numbers up, and then Falston got another goal. When you got to the end of the game and you went 3-0, this game was 1-1. into the second half. So, you know, it could have been a closer game, but Harford Tech came out a little bit more organized on the ball and really stepped up to the ball. So we're down to 33 seconds here, folks, and you just don't want to see anything chippy happen here. So you're probably going to see if I was Harford Tech, I'm just trying to get the ball under control, put it downfield. He's looking for a foot, and he found one there. Now he's going to probably try to redirect it all the way across. I like that. He reworked it, brought it back. Coach is probably telling him, counting down the clock and saying, just pass the ball. So we come to the end of the game here, folks, and you know, it was a very exciting game for a long time there. We had some very, very pretty goals. I will recap the scoring right now, and the game started off with a Harford Tech goal by Ben Kudrowski, assisted by Brendan Coldiron. And then North Harford, that was at the 15-minute mark and into the first half, or with left in the first half. So we went a good 25 minutes without a goal. Then North Harford answered with 1:15 to go in the half by a goal from Ryder Taylor. It was kind of on a scrum ball, and he just striked it in low. We opened the second half at the 33-minute mark, and Brendan Coldiron got a similar kind of goal, and then no assist. And that might have been the really good left-footed strike from the sideline there. That was beautiful. Then we got another goal by Chris Jimenez. No, that was the left-footed volley. So Brendan Coldiron's was that little scrum ball at the 18-yard line, put it through, barely rolled by the goalie. Then we got a fourth goal by Brendan Coldiron again. So he ends up with 2 goals and an assist in this game, and a very crucial player. I really felt like the North Harford goalie couldn't have done much about any of the goals.
No, he's when the balls are played, and several of those balls were kicked right at the 6-yard line.
Right.
So you don't have any time to react. You know, the one he actually got his hand on it, but it was from the deflection. But
that was the. So Chris Jimenez scored that goal on a left-footed volley. So I was right earlier. Brendan Coldiron's goal was the left-footed strike from the outside there. That was beautiful. That was probably the most beautiful goal of the game. And then Chris Jimenez picked up that blocked ball from the defender, just came to him at the 6-yard line, volley kicked it with his left foot over the goalie. So, so we'll see here some of the highlights. This is the first nice, pretty goal there. And then we have the quick strike by North Harford. Kind of toe poked that one in there.
Yeah, that's where the keeper got his hand on it.
That was my shot there. I love.
Yeah, that was incredible.
I mean, I don't know many goalies are going to stop that. Here's the rebound, deflection, boom. One-time strike. And then here's another ball that bounces around for a while. Boom, right in. So to wrap things up here, Bob, I think you agree that Harford Tech's going to be a player in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think I haven't seen the other teams, but they showed me some good quality tonight.
So, Pattersonville will have something to say about it in 1A in this county, but I think they'll definitely be a team that could be in the final and be reckoned with. And good game all the way around, and thank you, Bob, for being here with me tonight.
I enjoyed it.
So, folks, we go to a Harford Tech moved to 3 wins, 0 losses, and 1 tie, so they're well on their way to a great season. North Harford is 2-3, but they've had 3 really tough opponents that they've lost games to, and Harford Tech, Seamountain Wright, and I want to say the other one was Harford. 3 teams that almost always go deep in the playoffs. So, great game all the way around. We enjoyed having everybody here, and thanks for tuning in for this Harford TV telecast. Stay tuned for our next telecast. Yeah. Take care.
We'll be together again in the Battle of Bel Air.
Yes, so in a few weeks we'll be back again. Have a good night, folks. Thanks for tuning in.